All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Be a Warrior podcast. I'm so thankful you are here. If you are new to the show, welcome. I am Angie, and I am 6.5 years of being an above knee amputee. And I speak during my podcast off of personal experience and how I handle with day-to-day living and how to get through becoming an amputee, whether you are supporting someone or you are one yourself, or you are about to go through it. So I just wanted to jump on here. And just today, I thought we're getting a lot of questions. People are starting to get into a new travel season. I know a lot of you travel during the summer, but I'm noticing that the big questions are coming with traveling as an amputee. And traveling is one of the things that our family does a lot of. So I have been traveling. I've probably been through 12 different airports since I became an amputee. And I thought, you know what, let's just jump into this. I have done a podcast in the past on traveling, but things are starting to change. And I just recently went through a revision surgery and an aiming procedure this summer out in Boston. So I have a little bit different perspective than I did before, and I thought I would share that with you. So let's just jump right in, because I don't want this to be a long podcast, but I think there's a plenty of meat to this that we should probably have a conversation. So you're getting ready to travel. There are many modes of transportation. Obviously, being in your car and going someplace is one thing, and you can control that narrative depending on what states you're going through and how you're getting there. But if you're traveling by car, you have definitely a lot more leeway on what you can and cannot bring. So that being said, I will tell you, let's just jump into the small itty bitty world of what do you travel with? Now, I have what I call my leg bag, and it's not a fancy term, but if I'm ever missing something and I'm incapacitated, I'll ask my husband or my kids, can you grab my leg bag? And they know which one I'm talking about. I have always used, since the beginning of becoming an amputee, a really nice, small, compact backpack, because I don't want to be changing what bag I use depending on my activity level. So I use a really nice, sturdy, and durable backpack, because here in Arizona, one of my favorite activities is hiking when it's not 120 degrees out. And so I want it in my car, ready to throw on my back with everything I would need to hike with in case of an emergency or in case of an issue. And you really do, I'm not a negative thinking person, but you do need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And with hiking, you could get blisters, your leg could get crooked because of sweat, and you have to be able to take it off, put it back on. And so there are things that I use for that. Sometimes if your leg is not tightened and the screws aren't tightened correctly, you could readjust your ankle, which way it's facing, or your knee. So I have my Allen wrenches, which is the main tool used for all of my parts. And I have one that has different sizes, because I do have a couple different sizes on my knee versus my foot. I also carry a small wrench. And when I say small, it has literally been almost caught through TSA, because I think it's 7 inches long and they only allow 6 inches or less. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like, I know a wrench looks like a weapon, but I'm also an amputee. Give me a break. It's not like I'm going to do anything violent and run away. I can't run. So there's that. But I do carry a wrench. I do carry the Allen wrenches. I do carry a plastic screw that helps me undo my valve, because sometimes with sweat and dirt and all the dust around here when hiking, my valve can get caught. So if I need to take my leg off or put it back on, in my case as a skin fit, I need to have the valve out. I have my valve that helper that helps me pop it off when I can't get a grip. Especially when I'm hot and my hands are sweaty, I can't twist that small knob. I also carry a towel. The kind that you can get wet and put around your neck to cool off is also a great one for absorbing sweat on your leg. I carry my bag because I am skin fit. I use a bag to put my leg back on. If I was in my beginning stages and using a liner and socks, I would definitely have socks in there. And I also carry Aquifer, a small container of Aquifer, or bag balm, I think is what it's called. It's a little container. Problem is with some of those things, you really gotta be careful what kind of container it's in, because in our heat, some of my stuff, it's backfired and they've liquefied and become disgusting and oozed out of their containers. So you gotta be careful of that. And it's small enough, 3 ounces or less. So what's in there is light enough for me to carry hiking and also small enough to go through TSA. And you'll probably get where I'm going with this, because I don't want to be taking stuff out, putting it in another bag that's appropriate for this, and another bag for this, and another bag for this, because that's when you forget the most important things. This bag also has an extra charger for my leg, and it has come in handy when it has died and I had forgotten to plug it in the night before. And I also have then basic survival stuff. One of those silver blankets, first aid kit, Band-Aids and things like that. I have a tourniquet. I have, what else? I have everything from needing my lip chapstick to sunscreen and gum, and even I carry, we have a family of Eagle Scouts here. I have a water purifier straw that if I do get lost, if I find any water and I run out of water, I can actually drink any water through this purifying straw. So I have a lot of things in my bag, but I keep it around, I think, 10 pounds. And that bag goes with me in my car. It literally stays in my car. I don't need anything there to be in my house. So it's in behind my seat. It stays in my car. When I go hiking, I throw it on my back and I'm off and hiking. I have everything I need. I didn't have to think about it, question it, or whatever. I just add water and that's it. When it comes to TSA, the only difference is, and I will say this, because I hike and I usually either hike with my girlfriends or my husband, I also come prepared with pepper spray, a knife. You never know when you might need a knife if you get caught in something, and I have been caught with burrs from cactus, which is not fun, and you need pliers, small pliers to pull out. I have literally gotten things stuck into my foot that come out, and they're spikes from cactus that are 1 inch plus long. So you need to have things like that you wouldn't be able to get out with your hands. So I carry all that stuff. But I have to be careful. That would be the only thing when it get ready to go to TSA and go through an airport, is I have to take out my pepper spray, I have to take out my knife, I take out things like pliers that I wouldn't need unless I'm hiking. Otherwise, everything stays in there and everything is able to go through TSA. Now, let's go on to TSA. TSA is ever changing, right? Like obviously since 9/11, things got radically more strict. Now we're backtracking, and actually when I was going out to Boston one time this summer, I noticed that ironically, I've never, as an amputee, you do not have to take your shoes off. They will have to swab them, so you will be pulled aside, but you never had to take your shoes off. The irony was that this summer, when I didn't even have a leg on and I was going through with a wheelchair, you all, two-leggers, the new thing is you can go through TSA with your shoes on now. I think that is nationwide, but I definitely know it was here in Phoenix and in Boston. But in my wheelchair with only 1 foot, they made me take my shoe off and put it through. I don't understand that. Like the irony in that is I never have had to take my shoes off, and the moment you guys don't have to, I'm in a wheelchair without my prosthetic and now I have to take my shoe off. It's just weird. I can't even explain it. It's just weird. So that being said, things are always changing. But what has stayed the same is if you are walking through TSA with 2 legs, you have your prosthesis on in your regular leg, obviously, or as some of the ladies call it, the meat leg, you should be able to go through TSA with your shoes on and through the device where you put your hands above your head and it scans you. What will happen and prepare for is you will be swabbed. They will swab as much of your leg as possible, your shoes, your hands. And if you're carrying like crutches or a cane, that will go through the check bag or the carry-on bag device, and they will check it through that to make sure that everything's okay with that and there's nothing hiding in your stuff. So there is all of that. Now, here are some keys that I feel have helped me. And despite the fact that I walk unassisted, I don't use a cane, I don't use crutches, I don't use anything but my prosthesis. The one thing that at the beginning, made things much smoother was that we always got wheelchair assistance. And I will tell you, part of me hated that because I was proud that I was walking and strong enough to walk through the whole airport. And then there were times where I'm glad I didn't, because places like Salt Lake City, I'm not kidding, I decided to track my walk from the gate door, getting off the plane, all the way to baggage, and it was 1 mile indoors. They have made that airport so humongous that you will want a wheelchair, especially after sitting for that long. To get up and start walking again is always the most cumbersome part. But I will tell you, I've been through O'Hare Airport and Phoenix and Boston and Salt Lake City and out in California. And some of these airports are really small, but a lot of them have quite the trek to get to your gate. And I don't know why, but I always feel like our gate is always the last gate at the end of the finger. So when that being said, it's actually really good to see when you go to check your bags if you can get wheelchair assistance. And you've got to watch this because here in Phoenix, I have watched and seen literally 10 to 15 people in wheelchairs waiting for enough workers to get them to their gate. So you want to get there early enough. Those are the days I tell my husband, I'm just walking, I don't really care. Here in Phoenix, it's not too far of a walk, so I don't mind walking, and I do now more than ever. Also, I'm faster through security, so I've got that, but it took me, years to get acclimated to how it would go. It's weird because my husband travels a lot and he has like the TSA pre-check and all that and the clear, and we still have not done that. The kids and I have not done that. So he usually says, see you later, and he goes through that. And I will tell you, in Boston coming back yesterday or on Sunday, I actually got through security and TSA checking faster than my husband because there was a glitch over in pre-check. And I got through even getting swabbed down and everything before him. I was so excited. Actually concerned. I went to call him because I was like, you're usually waiting for me. I didn't know where you were. And there he came walking after I was looking around waiting for him. So it just depends. You never know. But I will tell you, places like O'Hare Airport in Chicago, you go in, SkyCap, you check your luggage, check your baggage. And the next thing you know, you're like, hey, can we get wheelchair? They'll give you a number and you go sit. There's a whole designated area for wheelchairs. And then they will come in and check for your number. You give them your ticket. If you have it on your wallet, on your iPhone or whatever, they check that and off you go. The best part about that is if you get especially ones that have been working that for a while, they know how to cut every single security line. They take you, and actually O'Hare has a special line that nobody really uses at all. And it's really meant for assisted people, but it's so fast and it's in a completely different section than the main drag. So that's great, but they usually cut through all the lines and your family members come with you. So that is fantastic. When the kids were a little bit younger and they were unsure of airports, they would just make sure they followed along with us. And they would put all their bags up. They literally would hold everybody off. We'd put our stuff up on the conveyor belt. And then they'd say, can you walk through? And I said, yeah. And they would check my wheelchair and do all that through their side door. And I would go through security, still get swabbed and everything, but that's all right. Your wheelchair person grabs all your stuff. And the next thing you know, you're heading to the gate. And it's so simple. Just make sure you take some singles or some fives so that you can tip them, because they're fantastic. And I am grateful for those that have helped me over the years. And oddly enough, at the beginning, you start to get to know people because we go through the same airports a lot. And you get the same wheelchair person and you're like, hey, I know you. So it's kind of good to treat them well because they're doing a nice service. Some of the things when you are traveling like that, now going to what do you take? I have talked to people through this that are brand new amputees where friends have said, we want you to get away, come with us, we want you to go on the airplane with us, we're gonna get you away, get you out of your funk. And if that's you and you've got friends willing, they understand, take everything you might need. Like I told you in my leg bag, I make sure I have things for every bad situation that could happen. I might get alone. I might hurt myself. I literally have a Garmin tracker so that it uses satellite, because a lot of the places around here, you don't have any phone service. So if you hurt yourself and you're out there by yourself, I know the women I walk with can't carry me back. So we need to be able to get help. Well, I might be sitting on the ground in the heat and I need something to sit on, or I need to find a satellite that I can actually bing off of and find help to get them some help to help me. So I always prepare for the worst, and 90% of the stuff in your bag you probably will never use, honestly, unless you are accident prone and unstable. But what is different and what's really, really hard, and I am working still to this day, and I have been working on this for 6.5 years, mind you, I travel with crutches. My husband has given me a plethora of sets of crutches that break down to the top armpit section, the middle section, and the foot section. But you take those 3 pieces apart and you have 6 pieces. My carry-on bag, between that and my makeup kit, that is 1/2 of my carry-on. And if we're going for 4 days or more, that is almost an impossibility. And my husband travels a lot for his job, and he keeps wanting me to be more efficient so we don't have to wait for bags at baggage claim, but it is really hard. So try to understand where they're coming from, but hopefully try to convince them and understand where you're coming from, especially if you're a female, because we have the makeup, we have the hair products, we have the curling irons and the brushes and all that stuff before we even have clothes. And God forbid you want to wear more than just your gym shoes when you're on your trip. You might go for a nice dinner or out to a play or someplace, and you want to have different shoes. Well, those shoes take up a lot of space. So I hope that you can figure out what works best. But I will tell you, this last trip to Boston was a 4-day trip. And I was so proud of myself. I finally did carry-on. And I literally did a carry-on backpack and a carry-on bag. And that was all I took. I had one outfit for every day, which was actually bad because when we did go out for dinner nice one night, I did have a change of gym shoes from my bright yellows to just white, clean white, which was dressy. But I was wearing like leggings because I didn't bring a dress or anything like that. So that was just what it had to be. Like one outfit for the day and no room for changing clothes. I don't have enough room for 5 or 6 outfits. So you hope to God you got everything you need for the kind of events you're going to see and do. But like I said, I do carry on my crutches. The person I was referring to before that it was getting away with some friends was worried because they weren't sure that they weren't really walking well, but they could use like crutches, I think. And here's where that can backfire. It's great. You can get an airport wheelchair to the airport, through the airport, but they drop you off, right? And then you have to get one when you get picked up from the airplane and taken through. But if you don't come prepared and you really don't walk a lot and you go out and travel with friends and you think crutches will be good or a cane will be good, you might find that doing the miles with your friends on crutches and you're not ready for it could destroy you. And it could be extremely hard on you and bruise you and everything like that. And you're going to wish you had a wheelchair. So here's where this comes in. When I went out to Boston in June for my surgery, I went out with my crutches like I always do. But this was weird. I went out with my leg on, but we had to get my leg home, and I had to get home without being able to walk. And with having just had surgery, I knew that crutches would not be a good thing because I might really be pumping a lot of blood down there. It might really throb. So my husband wanted to get us a wheelchair. So I ended up getting a wheelchair while in Boston, like my own. And my crutches I collapsed and put away for the trip home. Your wheelchair will be treated like a stroller. And if you don't have kids and you've never gone to an airport with a stroller, here's what happens. You wheelchair in, you go all the way up to your gate, you tell the people at the gate, this is your wheelchair, your own personal wheelchair, and you want to be able to take it all the way down to the door of the airplane. And they will give you a tag for your wheelchair and give you the proof that it's yours. And you keep a hold of that and you wheel yourself down, or they will help you get you down to the door of the airplane, and then they will collapse it, and that will be taken and put right underneath last under the airplane, so that when you get to your next spot, your next destination, it comes up so you can wheelchair up the ramp and out through the airport. And really, really simple, really easy to use. You just need to make sure that you have that, because I have also seen people go to California and gone to Disneyland thinking they can crutch, it won't be a big deal. I gotta tell you, I've done Disney on crutches, I've done Disney in a wheelchair, and I've done Disney walking with prosthesis. And all of those kick your butt. I mean, it's Disney. It kicks your butt even if you have two legs. So you got to go prepared for that, because if you end up hurting yourself, the next thing you know, you're going to be in line trying to rent a wheelchair. And at the end of the day, guess what? You have to give that wheelchair back. But how do you get to your hotel? How do you get through the airport when you're hurting? And maybe you've overused your prosthesis. If it's still new and you've never done a huge trip where you put in the miles, you need to be prepared for that. So I always say that if you are with someone that's been supporting you through your journey, they kind of know what you can and cannot do and what you're going to go do. If you are like this young person going with some friends that want to get you away and enjoy a trip and let you forget about your problems, and you worry about taking too much crap, a walker and a wheelchair, I say go more prepared, because they know what's going on. Be transparent with them and know that it's better to be safe than sorry, and have that equipment with you. Have that backup. Even in best laid plans, I was in a socket I've been wearing for the last couple weeks. And yes, we're still working on it and tweaking it. I'm actually heading out this week to go and get it changed up. But best laid plans, I went to PT and I did an hour and a half at PT, and I was challenged to beat my old scores on things I did prior to surgery. And I beat the crap out of my leg. And I walked the rest of Boston that day and that evening out to dinner around Old Town and everything. And I was in so much pain, but I'm so freaking stubborn that I dealt with it, because I was trying to work off dinner because I ate too much at dinner. So, you have to know your personality. You have to know what's hurting and why it's hurting. Are you doing damage? And if not, suck it up. And if you think you might be doing damage, or you have issues with wounds, don't suck it up. You have to know, and you have to be prepared. But like I said, I think all in all, your rights going through TSA is always what people are worried about most. 3 ounces or less when it comes to liquids and salves and things like that. Make sure your tools are short and small, like 6 inches or less. And I use a shoehorn. That's really important when you do take off your shoe from your prosthesis, because trying to catch it and pull it on is really hard. I had a really nice Oser one in my bag, and it was big, and it was all metal. Like, it was really nice, heavy duty, like hardcore, used to put on our rubber foot shells, because those are a pain to get on and off. And I was told I wasn't allowed to go through with it. I'm like, you have no idea what you're telling me. I have to have that shoehorn. and it was in my carry-on bag, and it was bigger than 7 inches. They had to get a supervisor, and I think there was some crazy stuff, but I had to have a supervisor for that. And I pleaded my case. I'm like, please don't take my shoehorn. That's an expensive one. It was gifted to me. Please don't take it. I need it. And they let me through with it. That is not always the case, and it depends on who you get. I also had the bomb squad called on me because I had a tiny container of WD-40 and a tiny container of air, like the pressurized air that you can clean off your keyboards with. That's what I used to get stuff out of my leg and not turn into the Tin Man. So I have used, honest to God, that WD-40 has been with me for, I think it was 5.5 years. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got totally busted for it. And they said, you got to give it up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he goes, well, we got to get bomb squad over here. And honest to God, it was a complete shit show. And I finally just said, I don't have time for this. I need to catch my airplane. Just take it. So then I was without WD-40. So you got to pick your battles. Obviously, my husband was like, you probably should have seen that coming because it's whatever. I don't understand, but they took it. And now I don't carry WD-40, so I hope I don't turn into the Tin Man. It's only really helpful when I go near salt water and stuff, and I need it for my beach leg that I was taking because it starts to get the sand and grit into the mechanical workings of the knee, and it gets really, really jammed up. And then once it gets jammed up on a mechanical knee, you can't bend it. So needed it when I go to Kauai. But other than that, I've been pretty unscathed going through. Please note that you should be given an option when you are patted down to go to a separate room. I never do. I'm like, just do it. I know what you're doing. I don't really give a crap. Just do it. I want to get going. But be prepared that you will be swabbed and they will check all aspects of your prosthesis for material. And then they will swab your shoes. But you have the right to keep your shoes on. And at first, I had some really nice people that this is how I learned. They just said, go on through. You don't need to take your shoes off. Thank you. Then it got to the point where I'd have people say, can't you just take your one shoe off? I'm like, no, then I'll be crooked. So you need to fight for your rights and empower yourself to know right from wrong. They should never ask you to take your leg off. I have never in 6.5 years been asked to take my prosthesis off. I've never been asked to remove any clothing so they can search deeper. That's all a violation. And I know that there are people out there in our community fighting for the rights that we have when it goes to TSA. So just know that you know right from wrong, and it does take experience in going through travel, but I'll tell you that I have been through it all. If you have any other questions that you'd love for me to address, please reach out to me. I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And any women that are looking for a community, I do a weekly chat on Zoom, Amputee Ladies Chat. You can find it on Facebook events or under my Instagram profile or my Facebook profile. We meet, like I said, 2 times during the day on Wednesdays. And this Wednesday, we are actually going to be talking about travel and what's important to have with you, what you don't need with you, and what to expect. Because if you've never traveled, it is very unnerving at first, and you're like, I wonder what's going to happen. And it's already hard to travel, and you can get picked on and called out for so many silly things. But we are going to have a deep discussion and dive a little deeper into it on specifics that people have about that this Wednesday. So if you are new to the community and you're going to be traveling soon, jump on. We'd love to have you. Just make sure you have a free Zoom account so we can see you entering and I know who it is. And you can also reach out to me and DM me and saying, I'm interested. Do you have a link? I would love to send it to you. So I hope this was a really empowering conversation. I hope that it helps you, especially if you've never traveled. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope it's a blessed week. And I hope that you are getting ready for the holidays as I am. Yes, I actually decorated all weekend. After coming home from Boston, I spent the whole weekend decorating for Halloween because we travel a lot in the fall and I want to enjoy all the work that I put into decorating for a little bit longer. So I am one of those people. that has decorated before October? Yes, I have. And it looks fantastic, I will just tell you. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. And as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.